What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, October 28th, 2023, and I have an emergency update to share with you guys. Right now, it is 7:11 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States. And so last night, Israel started their ground invasion of Gaza, and I was streaming live last night. So I want to just update you with all of the latest information that I have and all of the information from the last 24 hours since this invasion started. So apparently, the main area of focus was the northern part of Gaza, the northeastern corner of Gaza, the Beit Hanun area. And so Israel advanced from three directions: from the east, from the north, and apparently from the Mediterranean. There is an information blackout right now, so there's not a lot of info coming out about the specifics of what Israel is doing, what their plans are, what they did. There's an information blackout right now. And obviously, that's being done on purpose to prevent any leakage or any plans from being compromised. And Israeli media reported last night that apparently thousands of Israeli troops and hundreds of Israeli tanks were involved in this first stage of their ground operation into Gaza. Okay, so a lot of the neighboring Muslim countries were uh, mad about this. So I want to read to you what some of the major players in the region have been saying. So the president of Turkey said that Turkey is ready to declare Israel a war criminal. Okay. He said, "We will declare Israel a war criminal. We are already working on this." And at a massive pro Palestinian rally today in Istanbul, the Turkish president said, "I reiterate that Hamas is not a terrorist organization. Israel was very offended by this. Israel is an occupier. The main culprit behind the massacre unfolding in Gaza is the West." Okay, so that is just absolutely crazy. This is a NATO country. Turkey's a NATO country, and its president is saying that Hamas is not a terrorist organization, that Israel is an occupier, and that the main culprit behind what's going on right now is the West. I mean, it's pretty scary because we have dozens of B-61 gravity nuclear bombs in Turkey. Okay, so I think Turkey needs to be expelled from NATO. And I want to read to you what the Prime Minister of Israel said, Benjamin Netanyahu. He said that yesterday evening, additional ground troops entered Gaza and the second phase of the war began. The goal is to destroy the military and governmental potential of Hamas and return the hostages. If Israel does not win, the countries of the world will have their turn. Okay, so he's kind of saying the same thing that Zelensky was saying when Russia invaded Ukraine. Zelensky was saying that we are fighting for freedom here in Ukraine, and that if Russia is not stopped in Ukraine, then Russia is going to continue to attack Europe. And so Netanyahu's kind of saying the same thing. The Israeli defense minister said that this is not going to be a short war, it's going to be a long war. And a small part of the Israeli Air Force is operating in Gaza and is ready to respond on the northern front. We have no interest in expanding the war, but we are ready. We have passed a stage in the war. The ground in Gaza shook. The operation will continue until further notice. Okay, so the defense minister of Israel saying that they're ready to respond on the northern front. He said it's going to be a long war. He said that the operation will continue until further notice. All right. And satellite images released yesterday apparently showed that the Iranian missile forces opened the silo doors of their long range ballistic missiles at around noon local time. Okay, this was yesterday. So, Iran opening the silo doors to their long range ballistic missiles, which means that basically they can fire those missiles immediately without delay. Okay, and the reason why they're doing that is number one, for offensive purposes, but also number two, for defensive purposes. If the U.S. tries to strike all those silos with our tomahawks, or any other type of conventional or non-conventional ordnance, they can launch those missiles immediately without delay before the ordnance hits the silo and destroys it. Okay, and we do know that the USS Florida, which is an Ohio class sub operated by the US Navy, left from Scotland like a week ago, and nobody knows where it went. But I personally believe that they moved the USS Florida to the Middle East because the USS Florida has 154 Tomahawk missiles on it or in it, and those Tomahawk missiles most likely have the W-80 nuclear warhead. And Tomahawk missiles are extremely accurate. So you don't need a very powerful warhead, either conventional or non-conventional, to do a lot of damage because it's so accurate. You can literally drop a Tomahawk missile into someone's living room from 1,000 miles away. Okay, well, not drop, but you know what I mean. So because it's so accurate, they don't need a massive warhead, and it would make sense for them to move the USS Florida into the region because of all those tomahawks and the nuclear capability that they have, the nuclear weapons that those tomahawks have, the warheads on them. They could strike Iran and completely cripple the Iranian military and the Iranian missile forces with those tomahawks. Okay, just with that one Ohio class sub, 154 Tomahawks, they can totally destroy Iran's missile forces and their entire military for the most part. They won't even have to use bombers, they won't have to use fighter jets. And another thing, too, is we have B 2 stealth bombers in the region. We have them in Iceland. We have them in Diego Garcia, which is not far from Iran. We also have B 2s and B 1s in Guam at Anderson Air Force Base. So there's a lot of options that we would have if we wanted to denuclearize Iran, to strike their underground nuclear research facilities and their bunkers. Now, one thing about Iran is that it's a huge country and there's a lot of mountainous terrain. It's like Afghanistan on steroids, and they have a lot of bunkers across the country where they store their missiles. Okay, so those would have to be taken out, and the only way to take those kind of bunkers out is with nuclear weapons. Okay, a conventional warhead on a Tomahawk missile is just not going to do the job. It's just not powerful enough. So if the U.S. does decide to strike Iran, let's say Iran starts to attack Israel as this operation progresses and Israel pushes deeper and deeper into Gaza, and it looks like they're going to win and take the Hamas leadership out of commission, and their forces push closer and closer to Gaza City. If Iran, let's say, decides to do something stupid like launch missiles at Israel, and then at that point, the United States could decide to just launch a full scale decapitation strike on Iran. They would use nuclear weapons because that's the only way to destroy all those bunkers. Okay, they have bunkers under, mountains. Okay, a conventional warhead is just not going to do it. It's not powerful enough, especially one that's launched on a cruise missile. Cruise missiles have to be light because they have to travel long distances. You can't have, a 3,000-pound warhead on it. It has to be light. Okay, so conventional warheads on Tomahawks are just too small, and anything that's launched from the air or dropped from the air, same thing, not accurate enough or not powerful enough. So the only solution is nuclear weapons. Okay, guys, I'm just, letting you know so there's no surprises when it goes down, okay? Because a lot of people in the world would be caught off guard by that. They would say, "Oh my gosh, the US used nuclear weapons." Well, it's the only way. It's the only way that the US can do what they need to do, all right? And apparently all utilities have been cut in the northern part of Gaza. The USS Dwight Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group arrived this morning in the Mediterranean Sea, and it's going to be deployed to the Persian Gulf after passing through the Strait of Hormuz, which is just south of Iran. And this is according to a senior Pentagon commander. Okay, so the second aircraft carrier, everybody thought it was going to go to the Eastern Mediterranean, but it's actually going to go around the Arabian Peninsula. It's going to pass through the Suez Canal, go through the Red Sea. It's going to go around Yemen and Oman, and it's going to be positioned right next to Iran. Okay. I mean, it's just obvious what they're doing here. Okay. They're preparing for a worst case scenario. If Iran gets involved, they want to have everything in place. And that's part of the reason why the ground operation was delayed, because the U.S. wanted to have enough time to bring everything in, troops, naval vessels, missile subs, everything. It all has to be in position in case things escalate. All right, so the Dwight Eisenhower entered the Mediterranean this morning. It passed through the Straits of Gibraltar, and it's going to the Persian Gulf right next to Iran. Also, the British aircraft carrier, the HMS Queen Elizabeth, entered the Mediterranean this morning. Okay, so that's 3 NATO aircraft carriers in the region. Also, the U.S. Navy Expeditionary Mobile Base, the USS Herschel Woody Williams, which is ideal for special operations, passed through the Straits of Gibraltar today on a course to the island of Crete. Okay, so very interesting. And before I continue, I just want to show you guys what's going on right now over the U.S. We have 3 U.S. nuclear war command and control planes in the air. Okay, these planes are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs, and they're also responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear armed submarines and our bombers during a nuclear war, because during a nuclear war, the normal means of communicating with our nuclear forces is going to be destroyed by enemy missiles, and also radiation interferes with the high frequency global communication system, which is what they use during peacetime or the initial stages of a nuclear war. They would use the high frequency global communication system, but due to radiation, high frequency is a poor choice for communicating. The radiation interferes with it. So they have to have these planes in order to communicate with our nuclear forces during and after a nuclear war. Okay, once the missiles start to release the warheads and the warheads start, exploding across our country, the radiation and the fact that the high frequency system itself would be actually targeted, okay, because all of the transmitters are fixed fixed sites that they can target with warheads, and also the low frequency transmitters are also fixed. There's one in Cutler, Maine, and one in Jim Creek, Washington, and those would be targeted as well. So we need these planes. They're critical for being able to tell our nuclear forces what to do and when to launch during and after a nuclear war. Okay, so we have 3 of them in the air right now. Yesterday there were 4. So that's definitely a sign that U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert. Look at this, guys. This is all of the U.S. and NATO military transport planes that have been flying from the U.S. to Europe and to the Middle East. Look at this. This is insane. This is just in the last 24 hours, just several dozen C-17s, C-130s, C5 Galaxies. I mean, this is just ridiculous, guys. Okay, this is all NATO and U.S. military equipment, weapons, ammunition, missiles, troops, okay, all on these planes. This is just in the last 24 hours, guys. In 24 hours, look at this. Look at this list. Okay, I didn't count it, but several dozen, probably 60 in 24 hours. And that's just, 24-hour period. Imagine the last 2 weeks, probably hundreds of these planes. Okay. So this is very concerning. This means that the U.S. military is preparing for basically an all-out war in the Middle East. They're getting prepared for Iran to get involved, for Hezbollah to get involved, for the Houthi rebels to get involved. So they're making sure everything is in position. And just to remind you guys, China has 6 guided missile warships operating near Oman. Okay, and they said the other day that they would defend Iran's sovereignty and territorial integrity. So we better be ready to duke it out with China now, because they may go to the aid of Iran once Iran gets involved. And also, Russia may also defend Iran. Okay, so this could easily escalate into World War III and nuclear war. Here we have the HMS Queen Elizabeth, which is the British aircraft carrier that transited through the Strait of Gibraltar today. Okay, and here we have a map showing all U.S. naval assets in the Mediterranean area. Look at all these warships, guys. Carrier strike groups, maritime task force, marine expeditionary unit. I mean, just look at all of this, guys. It's all in the region right now. You can pause this video and take a screenshot if you want to, get a more detailed look at this. But I mean, it's just insane, all the hardware in the Middle East and in the Mediterranean right now. So continuing on with the news, the Iranian foreign minister held emergency talks with the UN Secretary General last night, and he made some more threats. He said that the button has been pressed. It seems that the conflict in the Middle East has reached the point of no return. If Israel's crimes continue, the war will expand and new fronts will open in the region. And a senior member of Hezbollah said that as a result of Israel launching their operation in Gaza, Hezbollah will launch a military operation against Israel in which all its organizations will participate. All right, so Hezbollah saying they're going to launch a military operation now against Israel. The Saudi Arabian Foreign Ministry condemned Israel's invasion of Gaza and is asking the international community to stop it. They released a statement saying that we condemn and denounce any ground operations carried out by Israel as they threaten the lives of Palestinian civilians and expose them to more dangers and inhumane conditions. We call on the international community to assume its responsibilities to stop the Israeli operation in Gaza. So you have all these countries in the Middle East, all the main players in the Middle East are turning against Israel. Okay, Saudi Arabia of all countries, that's a surprise. But Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. I mean, every country in the Middle East, plus Russia and China. And by the way, I believe that all of this was planned out by Russia, China, and Iran, and North Korea, and all these countries that are involved in this war right now, or all these groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Iranian-backed militias, all of them together plan this whole thing out. Okay, this is all a joint effort by them. Okay, all of them together, and this is aligning with Bible prophecy, with the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and 39, talks about an invasion of Israel by a power from the north, which many people believe is Russia, with an alliance of Middle Eastern countries and Asian countries. I'm not saying that this is, that particular invasion. I'm not sure, but it's very weird how it's aligning with Bible prophecy. And apparently, a missile was fired from Gaza and it fell near a nuclear reactor in Israel. at the Dimona nuclear reactor. And this happened today. Israeli media confirmed the rocket did fall near the Dimona nuclear reactor today, but there was no damage and no casualties. So I don't know if that was on purpose, if Gaza's trying to, cause a meltdown or something, or if that was by accident, but that's very concerning. In Lebanon, the Israeli Air Force bombed military sites belonging to Hezbollah today and destroyed a camp, infrastructure, and observation sites. The U.S. asked China to discuss with Iran about not entering the conflict due to the possibility of an escalation, the Associated Press quoted a U.S. official. Hezbollah targeted military outpost Al Abad, which resulted in partial destruction of an observation post. Hamas has been using Russian anti tank guided missiles against Israeli tanks. And in Syria, Iranian backed militants again attacked a U.S. military base in the Al Omar oil field today. And North Korean leader Kim Jong un said last night that we are on the threshold of the Third World War and everyone should prepare. And Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko said last night that World War III may start in the Middle East. All right, so this is all the latest information that I have, guys. And what you're looking at here is some information coming from USNI News that apparently the Chinese aircraft carrier Shandong is now operating close to Taiwan. And you can see where it's been. It's been just east of Taiwan. So very concerning, guys. We could see multiple fronts opening up around the world. We could see North Korea attack South Korea. We could see China go after Taiwan. We could see Russia go after the Baltics, when things escalate in the Middle East. And like I said, this could have all just been one big plan created by Putin and Xi Jinping. And maybe that's why Putin met with Xi Jinping, because you notice right around the time when Putin met with Xi Jinping, all of this started to kick off. All right, so I will be doing a live update tonight at around 9 p.m. Eastern Time, a live update and a live discussion. But that's the latest information that I have, guys. I will continue to update you. Make sure you have your notifications set up so you get notified when I do these updates. And to do that, you just click the bell icon below this video. And a lot of people have been complaining that they're not getting notified when I upload these updates. And I think a lot of that has to do with the situation going on right now. I think that social media companies are trying to kind of limit some of the information coming out about what's going on to maybe prevent any leakage of information that could compromise Israel's operation. So they're kind of suppressing a lot of these videos, these updates on Israel that don't come from the mainstream media and official sources. Okay, so make sure you periodically check my channel if you didn't see a notification or something, because chances are I uploaded a video and you just didn't get notified. But that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully, I'll see you live in a little while. And take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.